Video 94. Past Lives of Lee of the Deep, Deep South. This here is the ancient spirit tralaka flowing here tonight within spirit on this very warm summer night. The ancient past life streams of Lee of the Deep South. This is right here is a spirit. One would call an ancient for the number of journey and of the widths of the experiences, both in learning and of knowing of other things which was used in future lives. Winding the clock, though, back to an earlier era of the Vega planetary system, the inner spirit that be Lee of the Deep South spent 4 lives as a snake humanoid, 7 feet tall, with this orange and white blended eyes. No tail, though, but a long, black, thick strands of hair down past his strong, wide shoulders. Though a mere mid-green on the color of the humanoid body, arms, and legs, a mid-forming of the very small scales on his body that flowed like smooth silk in his movements. His toes were as 3.5 inches of claws on the ends of his toes, and very powerful as those toes were fully articulated to be able to have full closure. Though he kept his finger claws polished down to his fingertips, so his operating machinery and tools was much easier for him. He loved in those lives to the planting of specialty crops in his large farm area setting that was half land and also the other half here I'm speaking is a half a square mile of seashore and spreading waters from. He owned all this, because he had worked so hard, in which he would be growing sea plants that were a cross between a high protein, and when the sea plants stocks were cooked properly, made a very strong rope, which was always a good seller at the markets. Of this he enjoyed for 2 lives. Now, in his other 2 lives, in the Vega system of planets, he was a horticulturist. He had on the bottom sides of the hillsides and mountains in his area, he knew many, many different specialty fruit trees, and also he had some vineyards. He was known for his high blends of supleinia, which was offered in different flavors. That was excellent for drinking when waking up in the morning because it really got you up and going, or for long space flights to keep motivated and your eyes open. It wasn't this life, though. This life that would end up being recorded in history in this planetary system. That though in that area where he started in his passion for learning to play music, though this was because of his desire to be courting one of his longtime customers' sister's daughter, who would come to love music. No, that's not true. She didn't come to love music. He thought that she had come to love music because she was always sticking around the music scene. But there's a secret to be revealed later, which would change things in his life forever. However, she was attending the higher education within the Pleadian proper system of planets. Here meaning in the more advanced application centers of the arts and studies. Very advanced stuff. And his desire to understand and create music, he ended up by creating a hybrid vine that, when processed, was thin, clear, hollow, and yet very, very strong. After it was harvested and processed, this when attached to music instruments that he learned to make for himself and design very elaborate turns and such, so he would get just the right sound. And this was all in his spare time. This here would create the very smoothest, yet saturating the airs around with such beautiful, perfectly toned sound. All of this took him 10 solar years to get right. In a few more years, he was thinking that customer of sister's daughter would be taking a vacation, and he was getting all prepared for this. Well, when she comes back from that advanced schooling, it was in those upcoming times that would become part of those Vega planetary systems history. For this would be the history in motivation, concentrating, focusing, determination to overcome vast obstacles to get the desired results. But did he later have a life union with that customer's sister's daughter? Because of the incredible yet fully new form of beautiful music that he had created and actually then would market, the many obstacles which he overcame as he focused on the target, so to speak? Sadly, the answer is no. Though this is humorous, not on his sake though, for somehow he never bothered in all the dealing with selling and trading with this customer. He never asked if her daughter enjoyed music because she understood it, or if she was tone deaf when all those years of doing business with that daughter's mother. So when the daughter graduated and went to the next level of advanced study in the Draco systems of the planet. Now, this did not stop him, though. He wasn't heartbroken very long, because by this time, all the surrounding valleys of beings near where he lived were hardcore fans of this incredible, smooth-sounded music he played on his specially designed instruments. And also he sold his own tailored music instruments to his customers for a very reasonable price, considering the work that was done to create them. But at this time on, he was so busy he wasn't focusing on mating. But then she came into his life, which who will become the life mate. She was a draconian humanoid female that, though had a true mastery of music, seemed hell-bent on playing one of those instruments he had made for himself that he had given her on their very first date. What a gift on the first date! She played music very hard and pounding. He fell in love with her. Ha! Go figure. Truly mystified by the way she played music. He was quite sure, though, that this was not covered under warranty if she broke it, meaning the instrument that he built for her, just specifically for her, that in its very design truly portrayed his deep love for her. Yet it gained a spot. Absolutely, it gained a spot in the history books. Yes, he did. And even yet today is taught in the advanced applied music on his home planet. And also taught to the young children first getting into school about determination, about keeping going and keeping focused. Now, in the next 4 lives of Lee of the Deep South, he was spending as an off version of the known Anunnaki hybrid androidic being. Here I'm talking of, here is someone else who borrowed the blueprints and built his own version of these very high-tech androidic beings. So technically, Lee of the Deep South was not actually working for or with those of the Nibiruan system, but with their customers. So working, though he did in those 4 lives as a master electrician, in the Lyra system of planets, in which he was 9 feet tall, working to the very large space-going vehicles, which was his tools of the trade, so to speak. He spent all his time working on electrical systems. And if he was in harm's way, it wasn't a problem because he could survive at the near vacuum of space. So in the next two lives, he was in the Nibiru system of planets. Here we go again. As a contractor, even though he was actually of a different privately designed androidic version of an older, well-known version android, being the Anunnaki had designed hundreds of thousands of years ago. Now, in those two lives, he worked with healing medicine, which he offered his customers. Although standing, he was 10 feet tall because of his trade. He needed to be. He spent most of his time when the customers were with him. He was sitting on a very low chair and surrounding, so the customers could look him square in the eyes when he was doing business with them. He also had a softer, tenor-toned humanoid voice. Now, the next two lives were in the Draco system of planets. He was 12 feet tall. 12 feet tall. He was very large. He was very strong. You could see him quite a ways. But he was more of an old school draconian. Yet he did not have wings or breathe fire, which is mostly rumor than factual. He did have some humanoid features, such as longer arms and fingers. Although here I must mention that his skin had more of a dragon scale look and feel. His eyes were midnight soft black. His tail was 3 1/3 feet long. That when he was walking, his tail would be positioned up against his back and not usually seen by the average being walking down the sidewalk. Now, Lee of the Deep South lived 2 lives in that form of body as a pioneer, aiding other settlers terraforming a local moon that was heavy in minerals to make it much easier to extract the minerals. Now, in the next 5 lifetimes, he spent in the Procyon system of planets, bringing with him past knowledge of farming, and grew many different forms of exotic fruits, which many of the Procyon reptilians, variables, and species really loved. And it was in their normal diet, which gave him a huge market to move this stuff. Now, he spent 2 lives as a Draco humanoid, standing at 7 feet tall. He spent his full adult life as an alliance warrior. Now, this here is what Tralaka has explained in much earlier videos about the alliance warriors and the different species that were part of it. Now, this person here, Lee of the Deep South, he never retired from the Alliance Warriors, and he worked very long into his years with the Alliance Warriors until one evening on a planet in the Pleadian proper, sitting on a large chair by the shore of a lake, watching the waves of that lake reflecting the sun setting. It was here his spirit faded into the sunset, and he was gone. The last 3 lives he lived in the Pleiadian systems of planet, which I've explained before. There's a whole bunch of planetary systems on the backside and the sides of the Pleiadian system. No, he was 4 feet tall in these 3 lives, and he was of the elfin species, of the elves, greenish blue eyes, who had this deeply rooted role, both being a spy and an alliance warrior. very strange combinations in these last 3 lives. His eyes could see perfect in day or the depths of the night. Made no difference. The speed upon which he could move seemed like just a slimmer of a blur of shadow to the normal citizens. Now, many locks he could also open under 10 seconds without making a noticeable sound. He was extremely useful and in much demand in his occupation. Though very strangely here, my friends, understand, this is the very first ancient file live stream viewed by the ancient spirit tralaka that mentioned elves living within the Pleiadian systems of planets, and also of them in the Pleiadian system of planets being part of the Alliance Warriors. First time. So this here is the ancient spirit tralaka. As always, my friends, journey safely to many worlds. Expand your consciousness. Grow to understand you are so much more than your 3D expansion of what you are as a human, and your expression formed no, of your inner spirit. Journey safely, my friends. Good night.